want to see the disturbing information that Yvette Cooper's talking about that the government's used to justify banning this group?
Well, I would say that our spokesperson did and was given sight of some information before we took a position on our how we were going to vote in relation to the prescription. I think it's also important to remember that when you say that Palestine Action was prescribed, at the same time the government chose to add 2 additional neo-Nazi groups to that prescription list. So that meant that we were voting for those 2 groups in addition to Palestine Action at the same time. And I think part of that was party management for them. But nobody is saying that Maniac's Murder Cult or the Russian Imperial Movement shouldn't have been prescribed. But obviously Yvette Cooper is talking about that. She's obviously saying as well that she believes that some of the people holding placards in support of Palestine Action are not aware. But, you know, our decision, our party's decision, is that we abstained on the vote because we felt it was about proportionality. The terrorism threshold may have been met, but proportionality is important for policing by consent as well. And, you know, we can be supportive, and we absolutely are, of the rule of law, but part of our role as parliamentarians is also to ensure that the law, once passed, is being applied as it was intended.
But you've asked, sorry to interrupt, but you've asked the independent reviewer of terrorism legislation to look again at the Act. Why?
Yes, because what we're saying is about proportionality. The sections 12(1)(a) and 13 that were passed in 2018 by the Conservative government, we voted against those at the time because we believed that there would be a risk to the freedom of expression. And what we're saying now is those concerns are potentially being realised, and so therefore is the legislation being applied appropriately and proportionately? And I think it's reasonable to ask that question when you look at examples such as the priest you described being arrested. It feels to me that the government have failed to make the argument for that proportionality if we follow through with the points that Joe is making there. That if the public, a good proportion of the public, and I'd certainly say that from my constituent mailbox, think that the prescription decision in itself was wrong, but the second point here that the proportionality in relation to the arrests that we have seen is disproportionate, well, I think the government's failed in its communication strategy.